Every empire swears its money is safe. Every government insists its promises will last forever. And every time, history proves them wrong. Money, at its core, isn't metal, paper, or digits. It's belief. And belief is fragile. For most of us, the system feels permanent. You open your banking app, see the numbers glowing back, and you think, that's mine. But history has a darker truth. Those numbers are only promises. And promises die. The story of money isn't a story of wealth. It's a story of trust, gained, tested, and eventually broken. From the golden temples of ancient Lydia to the server farms of Wall Street, the same pattern repeats. Trust is built, exploited, and destroyed. Long before Rome or Wall Street, there was Lydia, a small kingdom in what is now Turkey. Around 600 BC, the Lydians minted the first standardized gold and silver coins, electrum discs stamped with lions and kings. For the first time in history, value was no longer just negotiated. It was guaranteed by a mark of power. But here's what few people realize. This invention wasn't about gold. It was about trust. Trust that the mark on that coin meant something. Trust that tomorrow someone else would accept it. It was the birth of money, but also the birth of illusion. The idea that value could be separated from the thing itself. Empires that followed, Persia, Greece, Rome, all built their economies not on wealth, but on belief in their coins. And that belief gave rulers their most dangerous power, the ability to change it. The Roman Empire mastered trust. Its silver coin, the denarius, became the heartbeat of an empire. Merchants, soldiers, and peasants across continents trusted its weight, its shine, its promise. But trust once gained becomes a temptation. As wars grew and borders expanded, Rome faced a choice: tax its people or quietly dilute its money. It chose the latter. By the time of Emperor Gallienus, the denarius that once shone with 95% silver contained less than 5%. It was a shell, a lie in metal form. People noticed, prices soared, wages failed, and Rome's citizens began hoarding real silver, refusing the emperor's new money. Inflation wasn't just an economic event. It was the breaking of a sacred contract between ruler and ruled. And once trust was gone, the empire's foundation crumbled. When Rome fell, its eastern half, Byzantium, promised it had learned. They minted the solidus, a coin of pure gold, a standard that lasted centuries. Merchants from Baghdad to Venice trusted it absolutely. For 1,000 years, it was the gold heartbeat of civilization. But slowly, quietly, emperors gave in to the same temptation. They began shaving the purity, thinning the gold, stretching their promises. And as the coin weakened, so did the empire. The same disease that killed Rome returned in gold instead of silver. Trust cracked, trade shrank, and Byzantium's long twilight began. When the Black Death swept across Europe in the 14th century, it didn't just kill people, it rewired economies. Half the population vanished, and suddenly labor was worth more than gold. Wages doubled. Landowners sold estates at fractions. A new class, the survivors, rose from the ashes. Centuries later, another innovation would change everything again: paper money. China had tried it first. Europe copied it later. And for a while, it worked. But from the French Revolution's assignats to the American Civil War's greenbacks, governments printed their way into ruin. Each believed their paper could replace gold. Each learned the same cruel lesson. Trust cannot be printed. The Industrial Revolution birthed a new illusion. Debt equals progress. Factories, railways, nations, all built on borrowed money. Banks grew powerful, Governments learned to fund wars with bonds, and citizens were told, credit is freedom. By the 20th century, the machine was unstoppable. World War I buried Europe under debt. The 1929 crash shattered illusions of safety. And in 1971, when Nixon ended the dollar's tie to gold, the last anchor of real value disappeared. Money was no longer metal, no longer even paper. It was trust, digitized. A promise built on code, contracts, and confidence. And yet, every promise has an expiration date. Lebanon, 2019. People woke up to find their savings locked behind glass doors. The banks refused withdrawals. The currency collapsed. And trust, the invisible glue of modern life, dissolved overnight. It wasn't the first time. It won't be the last. Every collapse from Rome to Weimar to Beirut shares the same script. Governments promise safety. Citizens believe. And when faith breaks, the system burns. So what survives? Gold, land, skills. Yes. But more than that, awareness. Awareness that the system is not eternal. That money is not wealth. That collapse is not the end. It's the reset. Because collapse doesn't destroy value, it transfers it from the unprepared to the prepared, from those who trusted to those who understood. In the end, money always dies, but value doesn't. It shifts. To those who can see through the illusion. Trust is both our greatest invention and our greatest weakness. And every empire, every market, every digital ledger eventually asks the same question. What is real wealth? When trust collapses. If you found this perspective illuminating, subscribe and stay curious. History doesn't repeat, but it always leaves a map.